Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to talk about some stocks to look out for. I'm seeing some patterns that I wanted to share with everyone. So I'm going to look at it from a higher time frame, weekly and monthly, just to see what's happening on a broader time frame, so that to get an idea of whether or not we are near the top or near the bottom and so forth. So the first up is snow. So this is a weekly chart. You can see that snow had a massive decline to 110, and since then for several weeks it started to move higher. It made higher lows, but since reaching this level right here around 200, the trend seemed to have changed, and now it starts slowly starting to move lower. So this week was quite bad. It was down 17%. And it closed below this area of support. So it looks like this all the good work that was done from mid-June, early June up until the third week of August, all the good work is winding down or reversing. So this Friday's close was not good, and it looks like next area of support is around 110, which it could very well test. If I'm looking at the momentum indicators, you can see MACD had gone up, but it couldn't go above the zero line. It crossed right here. It looks like it's about to head lower, so that's not a good look. RSI wasn't able to get back above the 50 level, so RSI started to move lower again. So this pattern is now looking quite weak. So this would be the next logical level, a retest of the previous low, which is 110. If I look at the monthly chart, there's not enough monthly data, so we just have to go with the weekly. But the weekly pattern is looking quite weak. Remember, this is a weekly chart, so things can happen over weeks, not days, but weeks basically. So now that it has broken close below this level, we could see a bounce and retest of this level. Only if it reclaims this level, it would start to reverse some of this trend, but overall it's quite bearish looking. So there is more risk to the downside than upside. So this would be the resistance, first level, and the second level would be right around here, 180. So this level is around 146, 147, something like that, and the support is around 110. Next, let's look at this is CrowdStrike, CRWD. So again, this one is so since reaching a low here, it started to move higher for several weeks. Then it crossed the weekly 20 and 50-day moving average, and then now it started to move lower. You can see that it has a big drop, and then a couple of green weekly candles, some rebound, and then another big drop weekly basis, then a couple of green candles, another big drop. So on Friday it closed just below this previous low. So again, this pattern is looking weak. So we might get, based on the previous week's couple of green weekly candles, but overall the pattern is looking weak. So now that it's closed lower, if we look at the monthly pattern, there's not much data, but you can see that on a monthly basis, MACD is still heading lower. It's coming up towards the zero line. But it's not showing any signs of a crossover. So if it goes below the zero line, that would be negative. So the monthly pattern is not looking all that great. So we'll rely mostly on the weekly, where there is more data to look at. So if I look at the weekly, so the next area of support, now that this area it would be around right here. So you can see right here there's a resistance right here. So this would be around 100. So this is on a weekly basis. Now, because this is a weekly chart, this would happen over several weeks, not like next Monday, Tuesday, not like that. It would be, because I would expect some bounce here, because it started to go away from the weekly moving average, the 20 and 50-day moving average. If I look at the daily chart, you can see that has a big drop this week, so I could easily see at least some bounce. So this would be an area of resistance, 145. If it's not able to get through this and then pulls back further, then obviously we'd have to think about the 100 level. But I do see a short-term bounce because on a daily basis, this is a drop from around 160, 167, 168, all the way to 127. That's a big drop. So it's entirely possible that we could have a bit of a bounce, just like here: drop, rebound, drop, rebound, drop. We could have some rebound. Only if it able to recover this level and this level, then we would start to look at it a little bit more positively. But looking at the weekly chart, it's looking quite weak. Momentum indicators are moving lower, MACD is moving lower, RSI is moving lower. So overall, consistent with what's happening in the technology sector, this is basically heading lower. Zscaler is another one on a weekly basis, big run up, and then now gradually moving lower. So it did started to bounce up a little bit. Maybe a sort of a bear flag pattern. Now it's breaking down again. Looks like it drops and then couple of weekly green candles, and then another drop, couple of weekly green candles. So another drop. So it is closed below this previous low from mid-May. So we could see a little bit of bounce, but overall the weekly patterns, the MACD is just about to cross and head lower. RSI is moving lower. If I look at the daily chart, you can see that it has dropped, so it could bounce a little bit, but resistance would be here and here, 158, and then this would be around 136. But overall, weekly I'm seeing weakness. Monthly, if I look at monthly, there's not much data on a monthly basis, but at the moment you can see lots of monthly rejection right here. You can see all these wicks on the top. For the last several months, you can see that it's been kind of undecided. You can see big rejection on the top and then weak buying at the bottom. Now this red candle, this is the current months. Obviously we're very, very early in the month, so by the end of month this could end up being one of these candle, or maybe not. So we'll have to keep an eye on. You can see on a monthly basis MACD is heading lower, and it looks like it hasn't gone below the zero line yet, but I'm not seeing any sign of reversal, so that's looking weak. You can see it had a massive run up on a monthly basis, went way above the monthly 20-day exponential moving average. So now it's just correcting. But looking at monthly and weekly, I'm not seeing any reversal, or the pattern doesn't look positive at all. It's looking quite negative. Next one I will look at is Intuit. So you can see that it too had a decent rebound for the last several weeks, and then from mid-August it started to head lower. It's been making lower highs and lower lows. This week was pretty bad. It was down almost over 16%, and you can see it had broken this weekly trend line. So next area of weekly support would be this low, and this is around 339. It closed at 361, so this would be the next support area on a weekly basis. Momentum indicators are weak. You can see it had crossed over to the downside again. RSI is moving lower. If I look at the monthly and then see where the moving average is, you can see it too had a massive run up, went way above the monthly 20 and 50-day moving average, and now it's coming back. At least it touched the monthly 50 EMA. I can see the MACD is continuing to move lower. It's coming towards the zero line. I'm not seeing any sign of crossover patterns yet. RSI is making lower highs. So on a monthly basis, there is no sign of a reversal just yet. or a bottoming process. Weekly just made a new low right here, so this is not a good looking pattern. So there might be some more weakness, or it might have to consolidate further before we can start to see some kind of a bottoming process. Airbnb weekly is not looking all that great again. So since mid-July, it had a run up, and then since then it's kind of gradually taking lower, and then on Friday it closed below 100, which was the previous weekly close. It's now right at the bottom of the channel. So the bottom of the channel is around around 90. So the previous close is around 87. So if it closes below 87 on a weekly basis, that would be negative. I see that MACD is, it hasn't crossed yet. It was moving higher, but overall pattern is, still weak. I'm not seeing any signs of a bottom yet. So it looks like it may need to do, maybe it stays inside this channel and consolidates. If it breaks to the downside, that would be negative. Monthly, don't think there's enough data to see what's happening on a monthly basis. I can see some rejection, weak rejection on a monthly basis. Let's see. I look at Monday.com. So this is Monday.com. This is a weekly chart. Again, after several weeks of consolidation, it looks like it closed below the previous low. So this pattern is looking weak. You can see MACD is looks like it's crossing to the downside. RSI is looking weak. I don't think there's enough data on a monthly basis to basically see what's happening. But you can clearly see that there was a big run up, so I would have expected this would have been way above. If there was monthly 20 and 50 EMA, it would have been way above those. So it's just correcting and bringing everything to historical levels. So looking at the weekly pattern, it looks like there's more work to be done before we see some kind of a bottom. Monday.com. Another one I wanted to bring to your highlight is to your attention is ENPH. So ENPH, let's look at it on a monthly basis. So this is the monthly basis. Massive run up since 2019. It's been just going through the roof. And you can see at the moment it's gone way above the monthly 20 and 50. Now at the moment, so what this basically means is that, like we've seen with other stocks like Tesla and Microsoft and Google, all of them, when they've gone way up and then they've gone way above their monthly 20 and 50, at some point they came back and touched the monthly 50. If I show you, let's say Microsoft, for example, you can see big run up, and then you see, it had gone way above the monthly 20 and 50, and now you see that it's down at the monthly 50. It may yet go lower. If you look at Google too, you see way up, and then it's gone way above the monthly 20 and 50, and then it has come back. It's now gone below the monthly 50. If you look at Nvidia also went way above the monthly 20 and 50, and then came back down to monthly 50. So all of these stocks have gone, has had a huge run up, and then they've come back to the mean reversion. So I'm looking at ENPH, and I can see that it's had a huge run up, and it's way above the monthly. The stock closed at 282. The monthly 20 is at 212. 212 and it closed at 282, and monthly 50 is 142. So there's a big distance right here. So it's entirely possible that it is in a topping pattern. Because this is a monthly chart, it will take several months. But few things I'm noticing, that is, as price keeps going higher, you can see monthly RSI is sticking lower. You can see RSI was here, and then this was the high, and look at RSI right here. I can see there is a double top pattern forming on RSI. Another thing is that this line right here, this is the RSI monthly 61.8. So this, you can see that this level acted as support here, acted as support here, acted as support here. If this RSI level is breached, then I think it will start to show weakness. The momentum is fading quickly, and then I think there could be problem. There could be pullback in phase. If you look at MACD, MACD is still way above the zero line. You see, historically, it has stayed near the zero line. Even if you look at the moving averages, price have touched the 50 averages historically, but at the moment it's way above. So MACD is well above the zero line. Although it did cross, but then it crossed back up again. But so this time, if it crosses and moves lower, it would form a double top on MACD, and that would not be good. So RSI is showing weakness. MACD is way above the zero line, and then prices are way above. So I think this could over period of months could start to weaken. Now, if I look at the weekly chart, so on a weekly chart, I can see that weekly MACD has crossed, and then it's now slowly moving lower. On a weekly basis, it looks like it has made a lower high. So this was the previous weekly high. This is a lower weekly high, and then you can see RSI is moved below. This is the RSI weekly 61.8. It has fallen below the 61.8 level. It bounced and then found resistance at the weekly 61.8, and it's pulled back. You can see 61.8 RSI was a resistance right here, resistance right here. It used to be support. So I think this is forming a topping pattern. So I think something we need to be careful, only because it has gone up so much in such a short period of time. Especially when I look at it monthly, it has just gone way up. Based on what I've seen happen in Microsoft and Google and other stocks which have rallied, and gone way above the monthly 20 and 50, at some point they've come back and touched them. Now, but it's not clear at this point when that will happen, but it will happen, over time. It will build a topping pattern, and then it will happen. But you can already see that the pattern is developing in RSI on a monthly basis. Even on a weekly basis, you can start to see that MACD has started to pull back. So I think this one we need to keep an eye on. But since these are weekly and monthly patterns, they will form in weeks and months time, not next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It would happen over the course of the coming weeks and months. So as I'm looking at it on a broader time frame, I would be very cautious. I think risk management is would be prudent in phase. All right, that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do consider subscribing, sharing. It helps out. Thank you very much.